Hey, what is going on, Geminis? Butch here. I am going to do your 1 week read. It is a general read, so it may not resonate with everyone. It is for your Sun, Moon, Rising, and your Venus. For all you cross watchers out there, roles can be reversed. Always feel free to comment down below. I picked purple today for a color. I asked my personal Gemini to tell me what color she liked. So that's what we got. Always feel free in the comments to leave what color you like. Like I said it before, I always like to get a general consensus. I like changing it up. I'm really not stuck to one color. But anyway, I'm going to use, it's a different form of the Tattoo Tarot. There is the other deck, this Tattoo Tarot, but this is just another form of it, a little bit different. But anyway, with all that being said, let's get it. Universe, what is going on for Geminis? What message do we have for the Geminis? All right. So the first thing that we have here, Gemini, is I feel like a lot of shifting. I feel like there's something big happening. And one of the things that I see is I feel like this energy is around you is not someone that's new. This could be someone you're already involved with, someone that you were involved with. Or somebody that you just started to be involved with. I definitely feel like there's you already know this person. But I feel like with this person, like I said in the beginning, I feel like some big things happening. First and foremost, I feel like there's a lot of big changes coming for the both of you. I feel like the world as you know it is changing, and I know that sounds very like a very big statement, but from what I can see here, I feel like there's not going to be much left the same after this. I feel like it's a matter of seeing things in a different perspective, and I feel like what it means with this Hangman in this particular read is I feel like you and this person are seeing each other differently. I feel like you know each other, but I feel like it's like that level up is happening for both of you, and I feel like that's what's bringing a lot of these big changes up, and it's allowing you to see each other in a different way. I feel like you had a strong connection with this person. I feel like you've always had a strong connection with this person. I feel like there's a very strong friendship, but there's also something more here. I feel like there's a very strong bond that neither one of you can, will, or want to walk away from. But I feel like you were kind of growing out of that old, it's like growing out of that old way of thinking. As we get older and as we mature, things that used to please us, things that used to amuse us, and things that we wanted, they evolve. It's the evolution. And I feel like there's a lot of evolving going on here for both of you. And like I said, I feel like you're doing it together, and I feel like you're seeing each other in a different perspective. you know, maybe you started to level up before they did, or they started before you did, but I feel like we're finally on the same page. You know, we have that emperor and empress, you know, that protective, that nurturing, that, you know, that father, mother figure, you know, growing into your new roles. Sometimes I feel like we're with the right person, but sometimes one of us evolves a little quicker than the other, so it almost feels like we're growing apart. But in this situation, I don't feel like you're growing apart. I feel like you're growing together. You know, I feel like with this person, it wasn't always easy. Especially lately, I feel like there has been some hot and cold energy. Because sometimes when we evolve, we feel like our partner should be there at the same time evolving with us. And if they're not, maybe we're evolving apart from them. Maybe we're becoming something else that this connection no longer has merit. But like I said, not wanting to let go of this connection, not able to let go of this connection. The reason why I feel like you haven't been able to let go is because I feel like you always knew the potential was there. And I feel like that's what caused this deep connection between the two of you with that Lover's card. The Page of Wands is all about seeing that potential. All about feeling that potential. Now it's time that we're going to live moving forward into that potential. That potential is becoming a reality. And we're starting to, like I said, we're seeing each other in a different view. You know, sometimes it's almost like you have to get to know the person. Because what they were isn't what they are. What you were isn't what you are. But I feel like the connection is still deep. You know, it still feels like home with this person. It still feels like this is the person that you were meant to be with. And sometimes, to be honest with you, I feel like sometimes we tend to overthink. You know, like I said, I mean, it feels like there's a lot on our plate. We start to overthink. We start to hold back from each other, and it causes this little bit of a distance between each other. But for a real, true connection, it'll always come back to each other. You know, it was always meant to come back to each other. You know, and like I said, I feel like together, you know, we don't overthink. Together, we don't feel overwhelmed. It's when we feel apart that this all happens, the overthinking. You know, with that Two of Pentacles, that having too much on your plate. But I feel like together, we don't feel like, you know, it just feels natural to be with each other. It just feels like a natural force. And no matter what distance and no matter what has happened between the two of you, you know, you still have that connection. And that connection isn't going anywhere. And there's a reason why it's not going anywhere. You know, with this person, I feel like there's a lot of communication coming on both sides. And I feel like it's going to be an eye-opening experience to realize that you are still meant to be. You know, that's what I mean by sometimes we grow up. And, you know, especially if you're with somebody for a long time, you know, you go through that development. You know, like I said, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of communication. I feel like it's finally time for us to be open with each other. You know, no more walls, no more self-imposed prisons. It's just about being open and honest with each other. And I feel like that's going to be one of the most monumental things here. You know, just being completely honest with each other. Because I feel like you have a connection that deserves that. And it needs it. And I feel like it's not something that you always had. You know, I feel like there's always been some holding back. Maybe some, you know, not seeing what's right in front of you. But I feel like moving forward, it's the absence of fear. We're not afraid of losing each other now because we know what we know. You know what I mean? And it's about nurturing it rather than fighting it. You know, with that Star card, you know, you have a strong connection with this person. You know, and there's still so much love to be had between the two of you. And I don't feel like this connection will ever truly die. And that's why sometimes it may get frustrating. Sometimes you may overthink it, and sometimes they may overthink it and think, You know, maybe you're not meant for each other anymore because things are changing. You know, things aren't the same. Things are changing. But what it is, it's a sign that it's time for us both to let go of the past, what doesn't do us any good anymore, but doesn't mean we have to let go of each other. With that devil card, letting go of what no longer suits us. You know, I feel like you've both been manifesting, and your manifestation is coming to light. And in that manifestation, you find each other again. Like I said, I feel like this is a partnership, and I feel like it's a lifelong partnership. I mean, we have that power couple and that family card. You know, I feel like everything you have was right there in front of you, and sometimes it's hard to see it, especially when it's being, you know, covered under duress. You know, but like I said, I mean, I feel like this is moving forward. I feel like now we're finally getting to the meat and potatoes of the deal. You know what I mean? Finally giving to it, and us giving to each other is giving us that forward movement, giving each other loyalty, respect, consistency, just all those things that I feel like we were lacking before. You know, it's like, I kind of get the feeling that one of you seemed to always be on, and it wasn't always the same one. You know, one moment it may be them, one moment it might be you, but I feel like both of you are on it, but now you're on at the same time. And I feel like you're going to find a lot of balance in that dynamic. Balance you never found in the old dynamic because it wasn't, you know, sometimes old ways of thinking run its course. You know, but like I said, I do feel like this is a situation where you could find yourself finally letting go and just falling into it without fear. You know, with that Fool card and that King of Cups, that emotionally mature. I feel like you both emotionally matured, and I feel like you're both ready to give each other what it was that you were meant to give each other. You know, like I said, I mean, we have the Emperor and Empress. And then we follow that up with that Ten of Cups. I mean, we have that Lover's card. I mean, this is something much deeper. And it continues to get deeper. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes we just get off on the wrong page for a moment. It doesn't mean we're reading the wrong book. It just means we're on a different page. You know, we may be evolving faster than the other. Like I said, I see a lot of forward movement with that Chariot. A lot of big changes. I mean, your world is not going to be the same. It's because you're looking at it differently. Like that quote, if you change the way you look at the world you look at is different. Or something along those lines. I think I screwed that right up. Yeah, I'm going to try one more time. If you change how you see the world that you see changes. Anyway, I think I screwed it up again, but you get the drift. You know, I see a lot of emotional fulfillment. I feel like you're finally filling. I feel like before you may have filled up a few of each other's cups, but I feel like now we're evolving into the place where we fill each other's cups completely. You know, we fill all the cups. You know, you may have gotten some of this person, they may have gotten some of you, but I feel like now that we're evolving into who we really are, we're leveling up, taking this to the next level. I feel like that's where we're going to find our comfort place with this person. Now with this person, we have Gemini, we have some Aquarius, we have Sagittarius and Aries, we have Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, Capricorn, some Virgo as well, possibly even some Taurus. You know, it's one of those things. I mean, you can be right next to the right person. You know, it doesn't mean that the person you're with, and sometimes we're really drawn to a person. And I've had this conversation with Rose about being drawn to someone, and sometimes you're drawn to the energy that they put out there, but sometimes they're not living up to their energy at the time. Sometimes they're not ready to live up to it, but you're still drawn to it, even though there's some things that you want to fix in the person or you want to see change in that person. Sometimes we don't see it right away because it's not ready. You know, it's kind of like when you're baking. It may look like it's done, but it's not done yet. It may feel like it's done, but it ain't. You know, I went through this with me and Rose. I feel like we've evolved over the last year, and it's been a difficult year. You know, but we find ourselves back together because it's the place where we're meant to be. You know, and I sometimes accepted it on days that she didn't accept it, and some days she accepted it on days that I didn't accept it. But now I feel like we're finally on the same page. I feel like we went through hell to get here. But I feel like energetically, I've always been drawn to her. You know, I can't be around her where I wanted to be around her. And I feel her energy has changed as well. And I feel like we've been talking about how 2024 is going to be a huge year for us because I feel like we're both finally on the same page. And if you look at it as in, say you have a manual and you're building something, you're both looking at the manual, but you're both looking at different pages. You're never going to be able to put that together, working together, if you're on different pages. You know, you got to be on the same page. And sometimes you got to go through the shit. You know, like that saying goes, sometimes you have to put up the rain to get the rainbow. You know, and I feel like we went through a lot, but I feel like we've evolved. You know, I feel like there's some things that happened over the last year that's caused us both to reevaluate. But we always come to the bottom line that we're meant to be together. You know, and I feel like she needs my best. I need her best. And together, our best. Nothing can stop us. And I feel like that's the same with you and your connection. Sometimes we're drawn to people, and sometimes we don't know why. But we're so drawn to them, like a moth to a flame. And it can be very confusing, but it's because that person may not be living their best life yet. You know, you're drawn to them energetically. There's something about them. The core of who that person is, the best of who that person is, you feel it. And you're drawn to that. But just because they haven't lived up to their best, that's where it can get confusing. You know, I wasn't my best self, but I feel like I feel like I'm ascending, and I feel like she's at that point where she's ready to ascend. And it's almost, you know, it's almost like you get to a point where you're ready to level up, and it feels like the person you're with is holding you back. You know, it's almost like, think of it as, you know, you start floating, and that person's grabbing your ankle, trying to, you know, float with you, but instead they're pulling you down. They're keeping you anchored. And sometimes we just gotta float. You know, we want that person to do the old Peter, Pan, and Wendy, hold hands and flying around, you know, instead of being that anchor. And sometimes they're just not ready yet. Sometimes we're not ready yet. You know, I'm not placing blame here, but I feel like you're finally ready to see what all the fuss is about, to see what you were drawn to, because I feel like that's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to see it all for what it is. And I know, especially with Geminis, I know it's hard sometimes because it is easy to overthink. I relate to that because I'm a Sagittarius, and Sagittarius sometimes have also the same problem. And that's why they make a great couple, but sometimes it can be difficult. You know, the Sagittarius-Gemini vibe. You know, there's so many great things that they share. The ability to get over things quickly. Sometimes it can be a curse, though, because sometimes you're not dealing with what really needs to be dealt with. You're just getting over it. You're moving on without fixing it. It's like you're going around your house inspecting the damages, and you see something wrong, But you're like, it's not that bad. We're just going to move on. And then one day it becomes a bigger problem. You know, we have to address what's right in front of us. And sometimes sometimes we're not on the same page. And until we get on the same page, it's never going to get fixed. But like I said, I feel like your world's going to be completely different, except for that person remains the same. You know, they remain the constant in your life. And I feel like it's going to be a very big year. I know we're only in December. We got a whole month, half a month left, but I feel like this is the beginning of something huge. And I feel like not only for myself and her, but I feel like for you and your person, I feel like 2024 is going to be a huge year. You know, there's like a lot of leveling up, a lot of finding yourselves again. And I feel like love is really going to blossom. And I don't want to sound corny when I say that, but that's the best way for me to put it. You know, like I said, I truly believe sometimes you can be right next to the right person. And until you're ready to see it, we're not going to see it. And there is trials and tribulations along the way, but you're that much stronger at the end for it. Anyway, with all that being said, be good, take care, stay safe.